It is ironic that I had no ideas for this podcast, and therefore I've decided to talk about ideas on the podcast. And it's I Should Be Writing Season 17, Episode 60. Brought to you by Scribophile, our sponsor for the month.
Well, I should be writing. I should be working on my craft. I should be writing. I should be submitting my next draft. But I'm sitting home watching Doctor Who.
Hi there. Welcome to I Should Be Writing, the podcast for wannabe fiction writers. I'm your host, Mer Lafferty. This show is available on most podcatchers out there, and you can find it at merverse.com, or you can watch it stream live at twitch.tv/mightymer on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I finished my edits yesterday. It took a lot longer because most of the edits turned out to be near the end. There were a couple of, as the grand plan comes together, some things weren't working right for the editor. So when I thought I was easily halfway done in a couple of hours 2 days ago. And then yesterday it was like about 6 more hours of work. I edited from about 1 to 6:30. But I got it done and I got it turned in, and I really do think, aside from a copy edit pass, I think I'm done. And I know I've said this before and I've had my heart broken before, but really, I think I'm done. I answered everything. So that is my good news, and that is also what I've been working on. I now am doing some family stuff to get the child to college, and then I don't think my travels will interrupt my streaming except Monday. I'm not quite sure when we'll be home, so I probably won't stream on Monday, but the podcast streams are the most important ones that I try really hard not to miss. So yeah, as for good news, the weather's good here. We didn't get hit by winds or flooding like a lot of the country did, so I hope everybody's doing okay. If you can hear this now, or if you download it later, I know what it's like to go through hurricanes. It's not fun. Sometimes it's exciting, but it's not fun. And just hope you've managed to stay as safe as possible. So if anybody else has any good news to share, please tell me in the chat, or you may tell me otherwise via email later on if you're listening to this sometime later. I try to celebrate all good news and try to remind people that rejections are good news because it means you're a working writer. But now I'll let you guys do it in the chat. Get all chatty up in here. I can't believe I just said that. Oh, Lee, you actually took your niece out for the septum piercing on Tuesday. Yesterday she moved into her dorm room with her mother emoting greatly after, and the heat is gone. All of those are good things. Yeah, that's it's freshman year, right? Because you were taking the septum piercing was because she was old enough to make her own decisions, kind of thing. I have an idea management system you might be interested in. Sure, let us have it, Nobilis. And Zach says, another query rejection. I'm at the stage where they're trickling in slow, so each one is welcome. It hurts. It's frustrating, but you're doing the job. And that's what we celebrate, because there are a lot of people out there who are not because they're too afraid. So I salute you. Well done. Awesome job. Speaking of well done and celebrations, Devo Spice is here. Devo Spice won 2 Logan Awards this past weekend? Anyway, for Funny Music Awards. You won a video award, and yeah, tell me which one you've got. I know you got one for the Spider-Verses. That's right. 2 weeks ago at Fump Fest. Yes. Tell us what you won, Devo Spice, so I can push the yay button again. Video for Spider-Verses, yes. And parody for Zoom meeting, yes. The Zoom meeting was really good. And so was Spider-Verses. So, congratulations, Devo Spice. Well done with the Logan Awards. And, yes, Lee's niece is 18, first year studying interactive multimedia design. Yeah, I didn't think I was gonna emote, as you said, when I dropped Numbers Ninja off, but the motherly feelings kicked in, and it was very sad last year. This year, I'm gonna be a complete and total, strong, no emotions at all, yeah, she's probably laughing at me downstairs, pretty sure. Okay, so Nobilis's idea thing, let's see. Like a lot of writers, I keep an idea notebook, write down everything that comes to me. When the book is full, I don't use big ones. I get a new book and go through the old one and copy in ideas that I still feel are good and combine them when I see connections between them. I don't copy anything that still doesn't inspire me. So the book becomes more concentrated with more and more good ideas, and better yet, they have connections to each other so I can use them in clusters. That's an interesting idea. I like it. And it sounds like it makes you go through your books. This morning I got another angry talking to from myself when I realized I'd written down some notes. And I had 6 blank books in front of me, and I didn't know which one I had them in. And I looked through them all, and it wasn't in any of them. So there was another one that I considered worthy of this information that I forgot about. So I have a notebook problem, but I believe I'm not alone here. I'm going to go ahead and say I'm stopping the good news now. If anything comes in later, feel free to let me know, but I'm going to move on. I am breaking into our discussion here because I wanted to give a shout out to our sponsor, Scribophile. A lot of people ask me if I know a way they can start a writer's group or join a writer's group or what to look for in a writer's group or beta readers or whatever. And I work alone a lot, so I don't really have an answer for that. But then I found out about Scribophile, and it's exactly where people want to be. You can upload your stuff, you can get detailed critiques from other people, you can find beta readers, you can help other people out by giving them critiques. It's been endorsed by Writer's Digest and NaNoWriMo and Predators and Editors, and has made several lists of 100 best websites for writers. There is a free membership and a paid membership, and I recommend you check it out because it looks pretty sweet, even on the free level. But thank you for your sponsorship for Scribophile, and if you guys want to check them out, check out scribophile.com, and I'll have that in the show notes. Kids Are Asleep says, I have a file where I dump random ideas. When they snag my attention enough, I write a blurb cover copy summary. I like it. But specifically, the ideas I wanted to offer was, I thought this would be a fun exercise, and considering I planned it about 9 minutes ago, I can't see any way it will fail. But a lot of people have had the issues, I think we were talking about it the other day. You see some kind of other piece of media that is very similar to your own, either the one you're working on or the one you have coming out, or something you want to write, and you think, oh God, now I can't do it. And if people really did that, then books would stop coming out. So I wanted to just kind of brainstorm some ideas and then throw them out amongst you. And if you feel like doing some writing, you're all welcome to do it, because I fully believe that you will all come up with something different. My go-to comment is Twilight, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the Sookie Stackhouse series, and Sunshine by Robin McKinley all have the same seed idea, and they're all very different stories. But I do like talking about the ideas themselves as well, because a lot of people don't know where they come from. So I'm going to figure out, first we got to do a person and a conflict. And the person wants something, and the conflict makes them not get the something right away. Oh, that's really cool, K. Kimmy. I read an anthology as a kid where all the stories were based on the same prompt of receiving an empty box, and every story was different. This is kind of what I do with the Kick in the Pants workshop. I just give out one thought and see where people go with it. And what's interesting is a lot of times the prompt they won't follow the prompt, which it's not an assignment, it's not graded, it doesn't matter. But they'll get an idea from the prompt and go in that direction. And that's how I think a lot of people work with those kinds of prompts. And you don't have to worry about, again, nobody's grading. I'm trying to gather my thoughts here. Nobody's grading them, so no one says you have to follow the prompt. It's like with NaNoWriMo. NaNoWriMo has rules technically, but I know, and they've loosened those rules in the past 20 years, but they were always doing, one of the early rules was you have to start a project and go to 50,000 words. It has to be a new project. And outlines don't count, but you can do outlines beforehand. They had all these things. And I'm like, well, winning is arbitrary. I can lie. So I can write in the middle of a project and you can't stop me. And the punchline is I still have not won NaNoWriMo. But I'm pretty confident I can write a book. So that's not really the point. But I don't like writing a whole lot in November, apparently. So we're going to come up with a character. And based on Tuesday's discussion, we after the podcast cut off and when we kept talking afterwards, a lot of topics came up about non-binary characters. So I'm going to come up with a non-binary character in this world. And somebody has to tell me whether it is what the genre is of the book. Because non-binary people can be in any world. Science fiction, fantasy, horror, romance, western, magical realism, literary fiction. Anyway, I'm putting this one on you. Y'all figure out who or where. I'm good at words. Y'all figure out the. Okay, K. Kimmy's got us with the genre. God, really. It's the finishing the thing. It's the doing a lot of writing yesterday, and today my brain's just like, you want more words, really? You think you deserve more words, Mur? I don't think so. You gotta recycle all those other words. I'm gonna start talking about puppets in a minute. My novella is about puppets, in part. So we got magical realism spy thriller. Wow. Y'all wanna really... of course, you're choosing the ones that I technically don't have a lot of experience with, but I'm just gonna say the non-binary person falls in love with something in their garden, and the problem is a development has bought their land and they're worried that their beloved will have to be left behind when they move. And the poor non-binary person watched this movie at the exact wrong time, or will simply be destroyed a la Watership Down when the developers come. So we've got... I'm going to leave... Magical realism was first, so I'm going to leave that aside. But... we have the non-binary person's name is Luca, and that's their house. What do they fall in love with in the garden? I'm leaving that wide open. It's magical realism. It can be whatever you want, and we don't have to explain it. And no one's going to ask. Oh, so you brought a Pinecone to this party and introduce them as your companion. Cool. Let's go get some dip. Pumpkin Patch. Murder Mystery Under the Sea. Idea randomness. Yes, we can do that too. So, okay. So the first thing we got our Luca falling in love with something in their garden, and that's they've already sold their house though, and the development's coming to go bulldoze everything up. There's your conflict. The garden gnome, sure. Yeah. So Luca's in love with the garden gnome. So there's one idea. We could go deeper. I could go deeper. I could go more detailed. What does Luca do for a job? Is the fact that they're in love with a garden gnome going to hurt their chances to get a promotion in their job because they happen to bring the garden gnome to the Christmas party? Yes, a mannequin spin. Good. Man, I forgot about that story. Yeah, that was old, like, dirty Pinocchio kind of thing. Pygnomian? Are you trying to do a wordplay on Pygmalion? I need a timeout button. That's terrible, Underpope. You should be ashamed. No. So, that's our magical realism story. My head's hanging in shame. Okay, so now we got the gnome is responsible for the weeding. Thank you, SB Gemini. I like it. Luca's the name of our dog. Yeah, I did a story called Marco and the Red Granny, and a friend of mine was having trouble reading it because his son's name is Marco, so it was confusing a bit. So yeah, now we got the spy thriller. So we're keeping the same character, Luca, only Luca goes by a super secret spy name. Naming is so hard for me. Let's see. Biff. No, not Biff. I'm talking like sexy 007 kind of thing, not Biff. All right, it's Biff. That was the first one that came up. So the Luca going by Biff is the hero of our spy thriller. Boned James Boned. Y'all. The money's in the gnome. Okay, so we still got the gnome, but we're not going to have Luca be in love with the gnome because we've moved beyond magical realism and now we're in a spy thriller. Luca is not the spy. Luca, unfortunately, doesn't know that the MacGuffin, whatever it is, money, jewels, thumb drive with state secrets on it, is hidden in the garden gnome. And so Luca gets embroiled in all of this chaos of spy thriller thing, and all they really want to do is, have tea in their garden and admire their new garden gnome that they picked up at the hardware store that, interestingly enough, never sells any garden gnomes. So they only paid $5 for it. So now we got Luca doesn't know they're waiting, but Luca's waiting for the spies to show up and make life really hard on them. There's probably going to be a lot of running and a lot of carrying garden gnomes around. And there has to be probably a scene in like a Walmart garden center where you have lots of gnomes. I believe I'm just copying from What's Up Doc right now, which is more of a wacky MacGuffin hunt than a spy thriller, but I don't read a lot of spy thrillers at all. Of course, all of the other gnomes in the garden center will look just like Luca's gnome. So yeah, there is your spy thriller. The dog is getting very excited about hearing your name so much. I'm sorry, doggy. I could change Luca's name to Tricky and get my dog excited. Did he even pay attention? I don't think so. So what was after that? We had spy thriller, murder mystery. Okay. So I like how we're trying to we're taking a lot of the same elements and just moving them to a different genre. Because now we have Luca at the Walmart Garden Center witnessing a murder among the garden gnomes. And there are a bunch of broken garden gnomes. And Luca's there. Yeah, yes, the gnome is the murder weapon. Excellent, Kay Kimmy. Thank you. So, Walmart Garden Center, dead person among a whole bunch of broken gnomes. Gnome is the murder weapon. Luca had picked out their gnome already. So their gnome is safe from shattering. But this makes them a suspect. So they have to solve the murder before the people take their gnome away or arrest them. The person who died, the thing about murder mysteries, unless you've got like a series of sleuths like Poirot or Miss Marple, or I believe Stephanie Plum, is that the Ivanovich hero? I haven't read them. I just know there are a lot about her. So oftentimes when you've got something like a mystery or a thriller of written in the past 20 years, the person is going to have some sort of connection with the dead person, even if they don't know it right away. So the Luca doesn't recognize them, possibly because their face just got hit with a garden gnome. But this person is from Luca's background, so who is this to Luca? Stephanie Plum, okay series, but I don't really recommend them. Landlord, okay. So probably an older landlord, because you'd recognize your current landlord. This is one thing that's weird about people trying to take the whole Superman glasses and hair curl thing, is that there are other ways to tell if somebody's who they are. It's like the way they stand, the way their body is shaped, the way they move. I haven't read a ton of, I'm going to go on a tangent here. I haven't read a ton of people writing about the Loki series, but small spoiler, it's a multiverse type story, and there are lots of Lokis in it, and one of them is female, and when she and Loki get next to each other, they have the same body language, and it's subtle, but I noticed it right away. And not like they move at the same time, but the actions he makes, she already moves that way. And, that's another thing that makes you wonder why someone could just be hidden by a mask when we notice a lot more than we think we do, which is why the uncanny valley is a thing. We note our eyes pick out so many things, so many factors about a person and their features, that when we see a drawn face, the closer it gets to realism, the more repulsed we are by it. Ear shape. Yes, Kay Kimmy. Yeah, I have a friend who was bitten rather badly by a dog when he was a child, and his ear is a little misshapen, and it's, well, unless he hides it or covers it with a prosthetic, you would always be able to tell it was him when if he was trying to hide. But since I was focusing completely on looks. So this is an old landlord, probably the first landlord they had out of college, and that's the connection, because something unfortunate happened at the apartment complex while Luca lived there, and it probably forced them to move out. So again, we're not going on I'm not going to tell you what it was. And if Luca has good or bad memories of the landlord, that is the kind of thing that you fill in. But I'll tell you that the landlord is dead and Luca is connected to him. Okay, that was our murder mystery. And the murderer is probably somebody Luca knows as well. Once you get the hang of it, you realize that there's a formula. Even if they're doing like twist after twist after twist, the way modern thrillers try to do, there's a formula to these. And while the murder victim needs to be connected to the sleuth, and the murderer has to be connected to the sleuth. If you read the back of any murder mystery these days, it is, this person is retiring to this small town, and then suddenly a dead body turns up, and they find some connection to it, to a body that disappeared when they were 8 years old. A person disappears. A person who disappears when they were 8 years old. So this is the connection. Like, they don't have to solve it just to solve this murder, but they have to solve it to get answers for that thing in the past. And yeah, it gets very twisty at that point. Murderer is the cute young landlord for an apartment Luca's about to move into. That is a neat twist, Underpope. I like it. Yes. And excellent. We just got a perfect segue. We're going to go into romance now. A lot of people are very rude to people on the LGBTQ plus spectrum of wondering what their private lives are like, wondering what they look like with their clothes off, and they don't mind asking, which is absolutely wretched. So this would not be a romance to have us explore just to inform straight people what a non-binary relationship would work-wise sexually. But somebody's out there thinking it. So we would need to focus on the love and fade to black, because this is really one of those, it's none of your business. It really isn't. And if somebody wants to write a sex scene, then I'm gonna cede it over to the people who live that life, not me guessing. So we're now to the point. Thank you guys. Appreciate the support in the chat. I probably said that a bit more awkwardly than I meant to, but I feel strongly about it. But we have Luca, no murder. We're not going to put the murder in the romance, although some do, but we're going to leave the murderer out. But an encounter with the old landlord, and possibly something in the past, because romances like to do that too, because there has to be reasons why the people can't get together. And sometimes the reason is they're already dating somebody and they're miserable, or they are moving out of town, or their parents disapprove, or they're completely broke and don't think they could be a good partner. Or I read one recently where the woman's brother had robbed the male romantic lead like months before and given him PTSD. And so she's like, yeah, I can never tell him that, so I can never, they like, it's a texting relationship, so she can never reveal herself because of that. So, where the hell was I going with that? Oh, the thing that keeps people apart, yeah. Sometimes they have a secret that will make the other person angry, and the person can never find that out. So there's a Christmas romance where a woman is trying to get a job as a blogger, and she decides she's going to do like 12 days of kindness and starts being kind to her next door neighbor who's a complete jerk. And as she's nice to him, he thaws and their relationship starts to grow, and she can never tell. The blog is why they can't be together, because she knows if he ever finds out about it, then he will get angry, and he finds out about it, because that's the way books go. But back to our imaginary friend here. We're going to keep the old landlord with the secret or the past, or it brings something up to Luca that they thought they had buried. And whatever it is with the old landlord, when Luca goes to the new apartment and meets the cute young landlord, that is whatever's going on with the old landlord is something that's keeping them apart, no matter how much like chemistry is flowing between them. So there's your romance. They probably have something in common and bond over that, which helps move the romance along. A kid. Oh, you mean Luca's a parent? Huh. Or yeah. I'm just going to leave that. That's good, Ravens. We're going to leave that as a kid, and you decide whether we're talking about Luca's kid or the landlord's kid, or something bad that happened to a kid and Luca was involved. Just something. Just the kid throws a lot into it. Like, we were talking to the family about the Cousin Oliver problem, which I think people of a certain age know. I don't know if it's like made it onto TV tropes. It probably has. But if you're younger than 35, you might not know the Cousin Oliver problem. But a lot of times in the 60s, when shows started to get several seasons in and they had kids, so obviously the kids are growing up, the producers felt the need to bring in another child to keep the show with that youthful energy. So in the Brady Bunch, there was Cousin Oliver who came to live with them. Cousin Oliver. It just the fans did not warm to Cousin Oliver. It also happened with the show that was made famous by that comedian of the same name. And we got lots of people we can't mention on this show. And that's my choice, by the way. But yeah, I think they brought in a kid after their children started to grow up. I don't know if it happened with Married with Children or not, because I did not watch that. It's like I know I've seen scenes from it. I might have seen specific episodes, but I know nothing about any sort of plot line that goes through that. Oh, Married with Children did it as a spoof. Okay. Yes, K. Kimmy. Full House did it, I think. Wait, did they bring in? I don't know who they brought in. Because the Full House... Was Mary-Kate and Ashley the Cousin Oliver, or were they there from the beginning? Again, another series that I know a lot about, but I think that's just like pop culture soaking in, not watching a lot of it. Hi, Computer King. Thank you for dropping in. It is on TV Tropes. Remember me from back to the Wild West of podcasting. Yes, I do. Good to see you. Thank you for dropping by. I brought the podcast onto Twitch. He went upstairs one day and disappeared. Oh my God. Which one? Which person disappeared upstairs? Because now we're back now we've gone to horror. The secret Luca's keeping is the child that wandered upstairs and got written off the show and never came back down. So there's like a producer monster. Oh, on Married with Children, his name was Seven, and he went upstairs and never came back. Gotcha. So yeah, we're going to go with horror and have that be whatever's in the attic. Something scary enough to eat the child. So now we're back in Luca's past a little bit. Now we're at Luca in the old apartment, although they were probably renting a house or renting part of a duplex or something. Because remember, they have a garden. So we can't, I don't know why that garden's important. Because that's where the garden gnome lives, guys. We can't change that. We can totally change that. So, now we're back to the killer garden gnome. Okay. So the garden gnome was a weapon when it killed the landlord, but is a monster when it kills the kid. All right. I hope somebody's writing this down because this is good stuff. And my point is that we could do this all day. This is how cheap ideas are. If anybody goes through and writes one of these, I am just so... I would be so amused, especially if more than one person did it, and then we could see what kind of personality you give to Luca or what the setting is. Because we really haven't done much setting except for saying there's a Walmart plant center there and a lot of available apartments. I'm going to end the RSS part here, but remember, if you feel that you don't have an idea, then just grab one thing from a piece of media that you like. Grab one thing from it. Don't do an incredible spaceship adventure with red shirts as the main characters, but you can, consider Boimler from Lower Decks. You could take his personality and put it into a high-rise romance or something. You can grab things from here and there. You can just throw in nouns and verbs and see if anything sticks. It's that simple. Really. The execution is the hard part. Lots of available apartments equals fantasy. That's a good point, Underpope. Oh, hey, David. The gnome was awakened by the first killing and then had a taste for blood. Okay. Cool. Luca hides it in the attic, but we have a little bit of time problem here. But as I said, you don't have to take anything by this being everything we specifically said. These are just ideas we're throwing out. But like I said, I'm going to end it for the podcast here. Thank you for listening to I Should Be Writing. You can find me at murverse.com. On most social media, I'm Mighty Mur. And you can support me via Patreon, Ko-fi, or Jemmy.app with the name Mighty Mur. Helps keep the lights on, etc. If you want to support me and don't want to do it over Twitch, then those are the best places to go. And those links will be at my website as well. I have one project that's out now, and that is Godmaker, the running adventure that you can get through the Zombies Run app. You can download the app for free, and as of yesterday, you can get the first 2 episodes for free, and then you need to pick up a subscription to get the rest, but I think it's worth it just for the other stuff. So now I've got 2 projects on there. Rec Runner, which I wrote with Alistair Stewart, and now Godmaker. Rec Runner is science fiction, Godmaker is dark fantasy. So I recommend if you do any running or walking, give it a try. It's fun. Prompt art. I should be writing contest with just applause for the win. Oh, gotcha. People turn in their manuscripts for this, for Luca's adventures, and then whoever wins gets the applause button. I like it. So yeah, that is me, and I'll be back on next week with more. Probably gonna miss Monday. I'm not sure what our status will be, if we'll be back by then. Maybe a stream on Monday, maybe not, and then Tuesday starts with I Should Be Writing. And if you can't tune in live, subscribe to the podcast, because you should be writing. I Should Be Writing is available to you under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Theme music by John Anelio. Art by Numbers Ninja. Production by Summer Brooks. And hosting by Libsyn. Find all of this information and more at murverse.com. And remember, we can't do this without you. Thanks for your support.
Well, I should be writing. I should be working on my craft. I should be writing. I should be submitting my next draft. But I'm sitting home watching Doctor Who. Yeah, I'm sitting home watching Doctor Who.